Hello, everybody. Welcome to Counselor's Couch 101. I'm Jim Stump. A guy goes into a bar. Don't you like stories that start like that? A guy goes into a bar and meets a priest, a rabbi, and a mule skinner, something like that. Aren't those fun? Anyway, guy goes into a bar. He's going to meet his friends. They're going to watch a baseball game. It should be a quiet evening, a pleasant evening, enjoying his friends in a sports event, right? Second guy goes into the same bar. The second guy is drunk. He is loud and obnoxious and belligerent, and he starts making insults to people around the bar. Eventually, the second guy comes over to the first guy and starts insulting him, and he won't let up. First guy says, "Hey man, could you dial it down? We're just here. We're trying to enjoy the game. Can we, take it down a notch?" The second guy doesn't stop. He just keeps going on and on. The first guy is getting really annoyed. He's starting to get angry, right? He feels his blood rising and this, that, and the other thing. He finally decides he's going to take care of this, right? He stands up and he's going to take this second guy outside and deal with the issue, right? At that point, a third guy walks up to the first guy, holds up his hands. He says, "Hey, man, I'd like to apologize for my friend. His wife was murdered recently and he's just not doing so well." What happens to the first guy at that moment? His anger disappears. It's gone. It evaporates. Why? Because he understood something. He had a new perspective on what had happened that evening. His anger is out the window. He's more likely to go up to the second guy and say, "Hey, man, I'm really sorry about that." Right? That's kind of like normal anger. Let's set that aside. That's what normal people do, right? Now, there's another type of anger. A guy who's always got his fist clenched. He's always ready to lash out, punch somebody with a word or a fist or something. Always seems to be a hothead, always seems to be angry, right? He's lived his whole life that way. He finally gets in trouble, gets arrested, goes to court, and gets sent off to anger management classes, right? And in there, he's supposed to figure out why he gets angry, what's going on with him, and how to overcome it. Well, it turns out that type of anger is a learned behavior. When he was younger in life, he found out that the only way he could get what he wanted was to strike out at people. You know, he'd either hit them, get in fights with them, get in arguments with them, whatever he could do to be aggressive toward the other person would push the other person away, and the guy would get what he wants. All right? That's a learned behavior, a learned pattern of life. That can be unlearned in the sense we talk about habits. He can learn a new habit if he wants to. That's that type of anger. Now, here's a third one. This lady, she's about 5'3", little petite thing, right? She's hanging out with these really rough guys. They call her all kinds of foul names. They treat her terribly and horribly. She doesn't have a problem with it. She rolls with all of it. And then some big guy comes in one time, and he doesn't like what she's saying. And he says, "That's stupid. You're a dummy. Why do you even think that stuff?" She jumps on the big guy and starts pounding him. She's not really hurting him, but if she could murder him, she would do it, right? And the guy sitting there said, "What the heck did I say? What's going on?" It turns out, when you talk to the lady after that, she doesn't even remember the event. She said, "All I saw was red, and all I know is I was sitting on this guy's chest, and he was on the floor, and I was just pounding on him," right? What had happened to her? Something triggered her, right? And turns out it was the word dummy. When she was growing up, her father always called her dummy. He said, "You can't do that, dummy. Back off. Who do you think you are? You're a dummy. Leave it alone. Come on, I'll do it, you dummy." We talk about 100,000 paper cuts. That's where that comes from. A lifetime of being abused in this kind of a way, an emotional way. She didn't even know what was happening. And finally, she figured out she could sit down and start working on that sort of an issue, right? That's rage. Now, there are lots of examples of rage. I remember this one guy I was working with, very friendly guy, got along with everybody, didn't have a problem in the world. He was in business, in sales. He was really good at it. Doing well, making a good living, had lots of friends. But there was one type of a person that could set him off. It seems that whenever he was set off and he went into a fit of rage, he didn't remember what he was doing either. He told me later, says, I don't remember what happened. All I know is I was seeing red. He said, I literally saw red. Everything was red, and I don't know what happened. People told me later what I did, and I believed them because I could see the evidence, and they were friends of mine. What did he do? Well, he destroyed that desk. He pulled a door off its hinges. He smashed lamps. He punched the wall, right? He went down the street choosing off anybody who came near him. He said he didn't remember any of it. He had been triggered too. Now, like I say, there are only two types of people that could trigger him. One was a female that he was in a close relationship with. He had been engaged 3 times, 3 fiancées. All 3 of them dumped him and said they never wanted to have anything to do with him because of those violent outbursts of rage, right? So, a woman that he was close to in a relationship could set him off. Want to guess who the other one was? His mother. Talk about his mother, and he would lose it. He didn't lose it because of happiness. He lost it because of anger and rage. He would see red, and it didn't matter what was in his way. He was going at it. That type of condition takes a bit of time to work through and figure out and all that. But all these things come from 100,000 paper cuts and things like that. That's where it starts, and it builds into things that becomes a way of life, the way we live and the way we take on the world, the way we deal with things that come up in everyday life. And if we want things to get better, we sit down and we think about our behavior. We decide what we don't like. We decide what we want to change it to, and we work on that. All right? You folks out there, you raise some really interesting issues. All right? Keep them coming. If you want to discuss this one, put something in the comments section or put something in an email and send it over to us. CounselorsCouch101 at mail.com. CounselorsCouch101, all one word, lowercase, at mail.com. Talk to you next time.